Hello, everybody, and welcome to Button Mash on WCRD, the Pulse of Ball State, 91.3 FM.
You almost forgot.
I almost forgot, but I didn't forget.
And with us today, we have two awesome guests. Hopefully, they will be consistent guests because I love these guys so much. They're great. Rise from the grave!
Why do you say that?
Yeah.
Because...
I feel dead inside now, just a little bit. You said rise from the grave.
Who's that? Who is that voice that I hear now?
I'm Brian.
Brian what?
Brian Cook. I didn't know how you wanted to do introductions like
Just
There's a lot of Brians.
sell
Brian's a
yourself.
pretty common name,
Brian Cook.
but
Well, there's that NBA player with my name too. So
that is
I
true.
don't watch sports. Who else are we with today?
You're with Travis Robinson. I was here last time, so one or two of you may remember me.
He's got a
I was
voice
the
for
idiot
radio.
That talked about The Last of Us. There's magic in that game, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to get you to play Last of Us. Because
I mean, I would describe it as a magical game. It's not too
magically
far off.
touching. All right, folks. So on today's episode, we've got a lot of great news to talk to you about. We're going to be talking about Candy Crush, the developer that behind basically trademarking the word candy, which is complete bullcrap. And we're going to talk the new Last of Us DLC. They've released some footage for that. And we're also going to talk Machinima and Microsoft, or Xbox, however you want to refer to them to, basically giving some people some money, maybe in not such good faith.
Wait,
Maybe.
kind of amoral. You could
Kind of amoral.
Yeah.
Amoral.
But
But
we'll get to that later.
We'll get to that later.
First
but
things first.
Let's start with Candy Crush. Lucas, do you got the story, or do I got the story?
You got this.
I got the story. All right, folks. So essentially, Candy Crush, the developer behind Candy Crush, a man by the last name of King, he has filed a trademark for the word candy. And his reasons for this are essentially he believes that any use of the word candy in another game is an infringement upon his wildly popular title. And he's also, I don't know if we mentioned this earlier, he is also trying to trademark the word saga because of the Banner Saga and Candy Crush Saga. And I guess we'll never be able to use words again because we'll all be owned by Megacorp.
Yeah, is that possible to take just just one word?
Well,
Regular,
it's not actually going to be doing that. The whole thing is it's not copywriting the word candy as in like the word in everyday talk. Like if you use it in a game or whatever, if you say, "Oh, you got to go collect the candy," then it's not going to be an infringement of the copyright. The copyright would only really be infringed upon if Candy Crush Saga or King felt as though it would confuse people with their own game. So only if another game using the word candy would confuse it with them would be when it would infringe the copyright.
And there's an example of that. There's a game, Candy Slots, that's also on the App Store that sort of sparked this along. King says, quote, "As well as infringing our and other developers' IP, use of keywords like this as an app name is also a clear breach of Apple's terms of use. We believe this app name was a calculated attempt to use other companies' IP to enhance its own game through means such as search rankings." And there's certainly a bit of truth to that. You always, like on Facebook or whatever, see like, not Farmville, but like Plot of Soilville and all these...
the ones where you're like, I see what you're doing.
I see.
I see what you're doing. You're
Like
trying to do.
there's Fruit Ninja, and then there's what is it? Vegetable Samurai. Is that, I'm pretty sure there's something that's like that. You think of it and it's like, wow, that's totally a Fruit Ninja ripoff.
But that doesn't mean that he gets to do this because of those rip-off games. Yes, you're always going to have like rip-offs of popular titles. It just works that way. People try to ride the coattails of success. And if someone's dumb enough to fall for Candy Slots, maybe you just don't want them playing your game. It might just be bad press.
I mean, if it's essentially the same game, then you're not really dumb enough to fall for it. You're just...
Money is money. It doesn't
You're a
matter who's
hipster.
paying.
King also said, quote, "Some are legitimate, and of course we would not ask app developers who use the term legitimately to stop doing so." But King thinks, yep, it's treading on its IP for the sake of that sweet spot in the search ranking, and they expect the lawyers to come out.
So would it pretty much just be up to King's own opinion as to whether or not?
Certainly not.
your
Like
product
there's
infringes on his,
there's a
and he's just
list
like,
of like fair use laws of words. It's just the fundamental. We can't trademark specific words like that, or else everything will get owned eventually, and everybody will get sued. Like you can trademark a intellectual property like Disney. Disney isn't really a word. It's a name. It's a thing. It's a brand. But just because someone has Mark the Mouse doesn't mean that you get to trademark the idea of a mouse being a character.
I could understand if he was trying to say trademark Candy Crush as like a brand,
Yeah.
obviously.
That would
But
be understandable.
To do the word candy, like, and at first when you guys were first reading that, I was like, am I never going to be able to buy candy from a gas station ever again? Like, how far deep is he trying to go after this? But if he was just going after Candy Crush, that would make sense. But it just, like, I don't understand why the head of this company, who obviously they have such a huge hold of the mobile gaming market, is saying we want to make sure that no one has a chance of getting over in the mobile gaming market.
They're basically just saying that they want to get rid of the match 3s that involve candy. That's basically about it. There's really nothing else that they're going for besides Banner Saga.
I'll go ahead.
It's a stupid way to go through it, and even the Candy Casino Slots creator, the name is Benny Shu, told New York Magazine that he'll change the game title if necessary to avoid costly court fees. So it's intimidation at this point.
Well, the big thing you just have to look at is if King ends up getting this court case to go his way and the legality thing to go his way, you also have to look at, if everything falls into place, what's going to stop other people from doing this too? What's going to stop somebody from creating a game and then saying,
Exactly.
we want a hold of this small word? It's going to end up like just creating a huge storm of legality, copyright issues.
And that's why I think that King is completely in the wrong with he's also trying to file a trademark for the word of saga, because the Banner Saga just came out and it's wildly popular, and you don't get to do that. Like, what you just don't.
The creator of Banner Saga, actually, I read a quote today where he basically more or less, in a large amount of words, more or less said, we're not going to stop making this game just because someone else doesn't want us to. Like, it's big. He's got to play the big corporate card, I guess, for King, but it just doesn't make sense why King, who has such a huge grip on the mobile gaming market, who has created such a successful game, is like, you know what? We want to make sure that nobody else has a chance to be successful in this industry.
He wants it all.
He
wants it all, and he wants it now.
He is the king of Candyland.
Yeah.
All right,
You guys
so
want to talk Star Wars?
yeah,
Because there's a little bit of Star Wars news.
they dropped.
Star Wars
Well, they
rumors
did drop
are-
Star Wars. Well, there is the one rumor.
Okay.
That's not really video game
Yeah,
related, but
there is news. Okay.
video game related, they dumped Star Wars 1313, which I'm not surprised by.
That
but
was
all
dead. That was dead in the
nonetheless-
water
What's
for a
the
while.
last
That's been in
six?
production for a long time, hasn't it?
Well, I was gonna say, what's the last successful Star Wars video game?
The Force Unleashed. I don't
first
know
one,
how
anyway.
successful
The
it
Old
was.
Republic.
I
The
know-
MMO is tanked.
Battlefield 2.
It hasn't completely
Or
tanked.
Battlefront
I think
2.
it's still in the top
Yeah.
5 like
It started
most
out
grossing
really
MMOs.
It's getting there though. It's starting to wane, and once Battlefield 3 comes out, yeah, that'll be the next one. That
Wait, did you say Battlefield 3?
not
Battlefront 3.
Sorry,
I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Tauntauns and
The new Battlefront, yeah, which could potentially be the greatest thing ever.
It will be
in
the
that.
greatest because it's
I
made
hope
by
so.
the same people
DICE.
as Battlefield. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get into shooters that much, but that's the one game I got Battlefront 1, and then within like a month got 2, and
I think
would.
Battlefront 2 was like the first game I ever pre-ordered as just a young whippersnapper, 11-year-old, like not even knowing. $50 was like all I had, and, like to my name.
after like an entire summer, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it bad if the first game I pre-ordered was like a Nintendogs game?
No. What?
That's kind of sad.
How
won't
old
judge
are
you.
you? I had a Nintendo 64 with Donkey Kong, man.
Mass Effect 3 was fine. That was the first and
Oh, I
only
didn't
game.
pre-order Donkey Kong 64.
Oh.
Oh, we're
I
doing
thought we were still
pre-orders.
talking about
Come on.
Oh, all right. I'm just like swinging my name around. All right. So what else about Star Wars though?
The other thing is that Pixar is supposedly rumored to be making some sort of a
Supposedly
Star
rumored.
Wars thing. Well, I mean, it comes from Latino Review, which apparently
Latino Review is
I just
known
came
for
to my
breaking.
knowledge today.
Latino Review is known for breaking a lot of news that it ends up becoming true. Some of it not. Quite a bit, yes.
Star
They've
Wars,
been-
though. Yes, Brian, you're telling me.
I'm a little bit of a Star Wars fanboy. I grew up. That was probably the first, I guess you could classify as like nerdy type thing that I got involved with. I remember my brother showing it. I forget which episode it was, but it was the one where Luke had to go underneath and fight the giant like man beast of a thing. I was at that age.
Oh,
Yes,
Return of the Jedi.
The Rancor
Yeah,
pit.
Rancor.
Wow. But I remember my first memory was my brothers blocked my eyes from letting me see that because I was at the young enough age where they were like, we don't want you to see that. And then years later I looked at it, I was like, you kidding me, right? But apparently Latino Review is very credible with Star Wars news, but as someone who is a huge fan of the Star Wars industry, the franchise and stuff like that, I'm a little upset. I don't know why they need to be making more movies. I mean,
it's practically an excuse to print money. This is Pixar.
Yeah, it's gonna
Pixar
sell.
Almost does no. Like I think Cars. They made Cars 2, right?
Pixar? Yes.
Yeah.
They made the Cars series. Okay, so Cars 2, I think, was the only one I can think of, at least, that wasn't a wild success, or at least pretty successful. I think it got maybe like not so great reviews on Rotten Tomatoes or something. I feel like I remember hearing about that, but yeah, other than that, they can do no wrong. So, like I said,
it's difficult.
It's Star Wars plus Pixar. Like it's just kind of, I feel like it's guaranteed.
Well, I mean, this entire like the 7, 8, and 9 episodes, those are basically just going to be like taking candy from a baby because they're also making these like the prequel type things, like with Boba Fett and Yoda, stuff like that.
The standalones.
So the thing is, they're making all these movies that like they don't necessarily like tie in right away, but I mean,
I'm more concerned that they're actually bringing the old cast back. Like, as much as I love Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, well, he's gone, but Han Solo and all that, we don't need another arc with them. We don't even need a side scene that extends to more than hello, goodbye, and
wow.
But apparently,
deep.
Episode 7 is going to be like heavily devoted to them, and that's not what we need in the Star Wars universe. We need new characters. You can tie it in. That's perfectly fine. That would be a great decision. But to heavily focus it on Leia, Han, Luke, it's asking for trouble. It's asking for a weak script.
I mean, they're introducing a couple new main characters. Like during the big casting, the open casting that they had a few months ago, they were really looking for a 23-year-old male and female that were of athletic build or something like that. And those were supposed to be some big characters that were in the new movies. So I think that they are trying to center, like, maybe
the first film
movie,
will
they'll,
introduce
the
the old cast, then it will
Yeah.
move on to the newer kids, and I believe that's been the rumored plan for a while now. But if they're going to lead off with the old cast,
You know what? At least with all these Star Wars projects that have been announced, I'm glad that the only one that I think for sure is just going to totally bomb is that free-to-play X Fighter or Space Fighter game. Whatever, you know what I'm talking about. You're rolling your eyes, Brian. It doesn't look good. The graphics, first of all, look straight out of like 2005. They look pretty old.
Yeah,
I'm not
no,
gonna lie.
like Star Wars as a brand, I feel like it's like Disney, ironically enough, but like Star Wars you can slap on anything and it will just sell. So it's going to be interesting. I'm obviously going to go just because I love the Star Wars franchise, but it'll be interesting to see what comes of everything.
Well, moving on to the next news story, a little smaller one, but interesting nonetheless. I actually wrote up a story on this on our blog page that you can check out. Naughty Dog and Sony on their company blog have revealed the first cinematic footage of the Last of Us DLC Left Behind, which will feature Ellie and her young friend Riley. I believe the name is Riley. I don't have the name in front of me.
Yeah, it was Riley.
And their adventure through a abandoned mall and the story that led up to shaping Ellie as the character that Joel met in the main title. Developers have talked at quite some length about how there will be new multi-faction combat. You may remember in the main title, you never really fought humans and infected at the same time, and now you'll be able to use that to your advantage as other human enemies might be hiding from infected or battling them themselves, and using that since you're going to be playing Ellie.
Yeah, the main game basically broke it into 3 main enemy types. There were the infected,
Typical infected.
there were military, and then there were just your kind of vagabond, wanderer, bandit types who just wanted to kill you because, you know what, they're mean. Plain and simple. But yeah, so and they never really blended them together in the main game. I can't remember that ever happening.
There really wasn't, though.
Yeah, it was always just kind of like you fight the infected for like 40 minutes. Oh, and then you move on to a new section. Oh, suddenly the military is taking
Some
over
humans
this
or some bandits, yeah.
But I mean, that made sense too, though.
I like the idea that and what I got from the video that they showed was that the only environment you're going to be really focusing on is this abandoned mall, and allowing Ellie and Riley to see what life was like before the apocalypse essentially happened, because these characters were born during this time of horrible terror. And I really just want to see, for anyone who's read the comic or knows the story, it's kind of out there that Riley dies. That's explicitly mentioned in the main title as to what made Ellie like super depressed as she meets Joel, and I want to see how because The Last of Us didn't have a happy ending. I don't think this one's gonna have a happy ending either.
Isn't it coming out on Valentine's Day?
Yes,
Right,
February
yeah.
14th release date.
It was. I was going through the comments sections when I was reading a few of the articles that like posted the video and whatnot, information on it, and a lot of people are saying that apparently Valentine's Day is pretty often a day that they release video game content during.
I mean, hey, I'm
apparently
alone.
that's a trend
that's
that
a
people
great-
are saying, but
Well,
I haven't noticed it.
you
I mean,
have the people that are going to be out
got
on
Singles
dates on
Awareness
Valentine's Day, and then the people that aren't going to be
I might as well stay inside.
Play this depressing video game.
play this game where people die.
So yeah, that has a release date of February 14th, and we'll be updating you as that comes along. Maybe we should do a review for it. Lucas, you still have your PS3, correct?
I'm down. Yep.
I don't. So
I plan on getting it. Actually, my roommate said, because I'm letting him borrow The Last of Us right now, he said he was planning on buying it. He's like, lend me the game and I'll buy the DLC and you can play it.
awesome.
I was like, okay, cool.
All right, well, moving on to the next and possibly last news story we've got here today. Machinima and Microsoft have been caught in sort of a little, what's the word I'm searching for, guys? A little scandal.
Pickle.
Pickle.
Yeah.
I like pickle.
Involving YouTube personalities on the internet and paying them to positively promote their consoles.
One of the main things I took away was that they don't mention major bugs and glitches. Was a specific point.
They have
I
to
saw.
talk in a positive
That-
light
yeah,
about the system.
and so like one of the things was, hey, we pay you and you don't say bad things.
You don't be honest.
Yeah, essentially, and it goes into the whole like integrity and journalism ethics, and it kind of, I mean,
But YouTubers aren't really
in it,
journalists.
yeah. See, what
PewDiePie
they
is not
are,
going to be
but
on a
they
jury
aren't.
anytime soon.
Yeah, so it kind of just goes into the whole freedom of information thing. Like this is the risk we take by being able to get information from anywhere. You can get it from anyone, and just because you get it from someone doesn't mean that they're being honest. Because not everyone gets paid for the
Interesting to note, though, that none of this actually breaks Federal Trade Commission rules, just guidelines as they're known, which aren't actually legally enforceable. They say, don't throw money into these things and not publicly announce them, or else if you do it often enough, we might launch an investigation into you, but we still can't do anything about it. It does come down to the morality of it. Do you trust your favorite YouTube personality to be honest, or they've got to make a buck too? They've got to eat.
I'd just go and trust the gaming sites that are already they're already trusted. They've been trusted for a while, and I know that there's even a site that just came out a few months ago. It's like all about unbiased reviews. Like I forget the name of the site. I think it was something really simple like unbiased.
I
was
was like,
thinking
this
that.
is a game. It has features and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it was like it has these features.
That
It would be
was-
good for people who enjoyed this game. It would be blah blah blah.
Do you
And I
guys-
was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Do you like shooters? You might like this game.
Do you guys remember back? I believe it was 2007. It was the first Kane and Lynch game that came out. that bank heist
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't play much of the first one. Played the second one. It was all right. But anyways, there was a big deal because I don't want to say the site because I can't recall it. I'm thinking of one, but let's just say this. It's a pretty big established video game news outlet, and they had advertisements on their site from I don't know who published
Who published
Kane and
what?
Lynch, but I believe it was a
Oh.
publisher. They put things on the websites. But basically, the guy who reviewed it got fired because he was honest about the game, and that's, or at least there's a lot of speculation that the reasoning he got fired was because he
It was Eidos
honest.
and IO Interactive. That's what I thought.
Or did I
Eidos.
say Eidos?
Eidos.
I say Eidos, I think. I don't know. Then again, you always say Bethesda. Isn't it Bethesda?
It's Bethesda.
It's
Hey,
definitely Bethesda.
To each their own, I
I'm
guess.
from Chicago.
Tomato,
Leave me
tomato.
alone.
Hey, don't even give me that. I'm from nearby Chicago. I live like 45 minutes away.
I live 50. And who has a stronger
Touche.
accent? Well, yeah, just the PC, or no, excuse me, Polygon wrote up a great features article on this and just the legality of it. They reached out to Activision, Electronic Arts, Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony, asking them if they still planned on using, if they still want to use endorsed YouTube videos to promote their games, and if they have any plans to review the practice in the light of this week's news. Sony and Activision did not respond to Polygon. Nintendo rep said that the company does not disclose or comment on its business practices. So it looks like, you know, it's par for the course as far as business ethics are concerned. It does come down to, though, if people like us, though, like as we're getting bigger and expanding our operations, what happens when somebody says, we'll give you $5,000 if you do nothing but positively talk about, I don't know.
Well, that's when you play the game, and if it is a good game, then you take the deal. If it's a bad game, you have to really debate that.
I would never, I know that would come back to haunt me in so many ways, especially with my career and how tight-knit a community like the gaming community is. Just knowing that some people like these YouTube stars have been caught doing this, you can probably bet that their revenue has gone way down as a result. Because, you know, people on the internet like to get angry.
Really?
The internet's always a happy place, I hear.
It truly, truly is. All right, folks, we'll take a break there, unless anybody has anything left to say. And we'll come back with some features talk. Welcome back to Button Mash on WCRD 91.3 FM, the pulse of Ball State. I've got Brian Cook and Travis Robinson here, along with my faithful co-host in shining armor,
Yep.
Lucas Schmidt.
It's so shining, I can't see. It's just
I'm
Well,
blind.
I don't have
bright.
any armor. But I'm gonna have some armor in Kingdom Come. I don't know if you.
What
tried
a
to set me up yet.
transition.
Oh,
No, that's not a transition. That's a
Lob the
segue.
volleyball, smack it down.
I like to call it a segue. They're pretty hip. Cool.
Segue.
Segue. You know what I'm talking about. The
Yeah.
stupid like mall security cop
Yeah.
little
Yes.
transportation thing. I don't even know what else it's
Those
used
are
for.
actually really fun. Off topic.
I don't know how they work.
Kingdom Come anyway.
Anyways, Kingdom Come looks amazing.
Describe-
and this
describe
game, it
Kingdom
came out of
Come.
nowhere. So
Describe for those who don't
basically,
know.
It's an open world RPG set in a medieval time. So it doesn't really sound that.
It's on Kickstarter right now.
Yeah, it doesn't sound that like different or anything, but it just looks so well done. I mean, the
It's on the
facial
Crytek engine,
animations-
isn't it?
It is on Crytek engine. Which
And he
is
made
what
the huge point of
Crysis-
that it's not going to be a fantasy-based thing. It's just
Yeah, there's no magic.
it's
there's
medieval
no demons,
reality.
No dragons. It's all just humans.
the tagline "Dungeons and No Dragons."
Yeah, I
yes,
like that.
I love that.
Good. But anyways, it's this company. They're called Warhorse Studios. They're from out in the Czech Republic. They put up this. They have a private funder or investor, which is why they went to Kickstarter, was to get more money. And they've already met their goal within is it like 4 days or something? Their goal was like $500,000, and they're already past that. And they still got 27 days left to get
It's-
as much funding as they can.
It was a very impressive video that they put out there. Like I had heard nothing about it until it was posted. Like late yesterday.
Yeah, me too.
And the fact that now, rather than in Skyrim where you're very much alone in whatever battle you fight, that will be pulling off like Total War size armies of people and being able to lay siege castles like with my own individual guy.
It looks like the size and diversity of an Elder Scrolls game, but with the polish of your more dialogue focused and cinematic
Witcher-esque
focus, such
kinda.
as yes, The Witcher's a good example, and the combat looks very unique. I want to say. I don't know. It was kind of strange to
kinda
tell
like
how
chivalry.
it
This
works.
game really just pulled me in. Like in one of the scenes, it shows a guy like grinding a sword against a whetstone. Like that was how you crafted your weapon and everything. And the combat, like you were just saying, like the guy squared off against his opponent with his fists raised up, and he was able to kick with like his left leg, then his right, and he was able to like do different punches too. So I thought the whole combat, like just the systems in general, were really cool.
Yeah, and it was the
Pickpocketing
animations
people.
as well. Yeah, so pickpocketing.
I'm gonna
rather
be a
than
little
just-
orphan boy.
You're
That's
really
what I'm
on
into.
the pickpocketing.
really like Elder Scrolls. You just walk up to someone and you like
Select
press A
them.
for
Pickpocket.
to pickpocket, and it like the pouch just kind of disappears. In this, you actually take out a knife and like you cut the pouch off of their belt and take it, and it's just little things like that just kind of sell the
It's-
believability of it.
It's the little things like that where you would do like the pickpocketing thing, and it almost feels like you accomplished something. Obviously, you accomplished something in the real world that would be illegal, but it's gonna make a gamer feel like they accomplished something. Like, hey, I learned how to time it right, where I could grab this pouch and not get caught.
Yeah, and I think the classes are very interesting too. There's 3 of them. You were
We just read
laughing,
about the
Travis, at the
bard.
there's the bard. So the first 2 are kind of, I feel, more expected. There's the knight, and so obviously you get armor, shield,
the
sword.
strength.
You
I
Promise.
hit things with other things.
yeah, and you go to war more often. You take over things with brute force, and then there's what is it?
The thief.
The ranger.
The
Yeah,
thief, which
That's
is like
me.
Yep.
it's the rogue, the archer, just the whole dexterity class.
and then
thing.
the one is just the bard, and you just basically get people drunk, get them to like you, you party, and then you make
Oh, I wanna do that
alliances,
one.
and you stab people in the back, sort of thing. So I'm
Yeah.
guessing you can persuade a king,
Go
like,
all Game of Thrones.
like
on
hey,
these.
yeah, exactly. It's like, hey man, so I found out the Duke of Dukington slept with your
Duke of
queen.
Dukington.
He totally slept with your queen, and then he's gonna be like, what? And then he's just gonna charge in and trample down a whole village,
That is
and
totes
you'll
cray.
yeah, that's probably how they'll talk.
That is Lannister.
Do they know
as
how they're
Boss.
doing the dialogue stuff? Like, is it going to be just a wheel
They
or?
they didn't show any of that actually.
'Cause that would be-
It
Like,
did
They
seem
had a
pretty
little
detailed
bit-
as
Listed
far
under
as
the
like the
bard
character.
description.
It did seem pretty detailed as far as like the character interaction. You would see other characters like walking up to each other, and it didn't seem scripted or anything.
Yeah, it wasn't
like that.
stiff like
Stiff,
a Bethesda
no.
game like Fallout or Elder Scrolls, where the environment just freezes and then you just like watch that character talk. They got rid of that in Skyrim, but it's a little bit better. But this looks even a step higher than that. And I love the fact that it's episodic. So there's going to be 3 acts of the game. So the first one will come out at the end of 2015. And then over the course of the next 8 months, additional content and whatnot will come out for it. They'll update it, maybe add some new weapons, some fixes for bugs and whatnot. And then after those 8 months, they will come out with Act 2. And then Act 2 will basically just dramatically expand the map, add more characters, more plotline, story, missions, quests, yada, yada, yada.
So
and then Act 3 will come sometime later.
What are some of the benefits he's offering, the developers offering on Kickstarter?
That's
what
one
I'm
thing I
interested
really
in,
love
'cause
about
I would love to
Kickstarter
donate
is that
to this.
depending on how much money you put in, you get different rewards, and they have it's like 12 different tiers or whatever. So each tier they have a name for it. So, the lowest is peasant, and then there's like soldier.
That's a way
knight,
to get people's goodwill. You
Vanguard.
donated $5 to my game, peasant.
But so like the lowest one, you get like access to the forums and some email updates.
Yes,
it isn't up until
Email.
it isn't until the second tier that you
get a
start to
digital
get
copy.
you get a digital copy of Act 1, and that costs $24. So you donate $24, which is cheaper than what the game I'm assuming will cost when it comes out. They haven't obviously released a price yet, but let's say it costs anywhere from $30 to $60 for Act 1. Well, I mean, paying $24 is dramatically lower than those.
Now, do you get to choose which version of the game that you get?
What do you
Does
mean
it say?
version?
Like you said, it's coming out for Xbox One, PS4, and PC. Do you get to choose which one of those you get?
Yeah, I would assume. I don't know.
Probably
if,
a Steam code, maybe.
Is PS4 and Xbox One? They're doing plenty of day one digital, right?
Yeah.
For games. Okay, so then I would imagine you'd be able to get that digital copy with it. Don't quote me on that though.
All right, so on to our second sort of feature story here today. We are going to talk about CD Projekt Red, who you may know as the developer of The Witcher and the upcoming The Witcher 3, which is a beautifully impressive looking game. They've been quoted as saying they've tapped out the power on the PS4 and Xbox One, and that they really couldn't do anything more than what they've currently achieved with it. Not to say that they haven't achieved quite a bit. It's certainly probably one of the best looking games I've ever seen, but it sort of shocked me in the way, are we already hitting a roof here? CD Projekt Red is a powerhouse developer, but I don't want to think that in 4 years we'll be getting the same kind of looking games again.
Yeah, I mean, CD Projekt Red makes very graphically demanding games. I want to say. I mean, The Witcher 2 came out. I want to say like
2011.
3 years ago. Yeah, so 3 years ago, and was absolutely beautiful for its time. Still looks great. Colors and lighting, particularly, was what always catches my eye. But as far as tapping out the new generation systems, I don't know. I mean, I don't really know enough about development, I'd say, to speak about that. But from what I've pieced together, developers basically, as the years go on, they just look for more and more tricks for basically finding shortcuts for making the development of these games easier and making the game run more efficiently, more smoothly, look better. And it's all just finding these loopholes. And so maybe like right out of the box, they haven't found as many. And I mean, I don't know. It's still something that I just am not expert enough, I guess.
That certainly makes a bit of sense. Like, I mean, obviously developers with the PS3, they had a hard time getting around the cell processor, but they learned their way around it. And
like, what exactly did they say, CD Projekt Red, about tapping out?
I do not have the quote in front of me, but they just said that we've capped out the power of currently available to us on the PS4. Maybe they were pretty vague about it, but whether or not that means, we've tapped out everything or we've tapped out what we're currently knowledgeable about, because it is still, you got to wonder how long they've been in development for these consoles. But that's never a good thing, though, when they're like, oh, we've tapped out, but they don't say that they're hopeful for like the next game and learning more about how to like properly or to better design something.
Well, you got to think about too, like when the Wii U was first getting introduced. I think it was at E3 last year or the year before, where they stood on stage and more or less looked at the crowd and said, "We don't know what this thing's going to do." Like they said, we have ideas of what we want in terms of specs for the Wii U, but they said we don't know what all it's going to do. And I feel like when it comes to video game consoles, while I feel like the PS4 spec-wise might be one of the stronger ones, but I honestly feel like the console developers end up going too fast, where they have this high demand. And I actually read an article today from a developer of the Xbox One at Microsoft who actually said that he had said that the demand for, as I put, shiny games, where these graphically beautiful games, is great for gamers. Developers are looking for a stable thing where they can say, like, I think like the PlayStation 2 specs and that console had such a long run of life that developers of video games kind of knew what to expect with that. These new next gen consoles that come out are so new and they're constantly evolving. Xbox One is still putting out like hardware updates for the Xbox One. They're just so new. Developers don't know what they can do with this, and I feel like that might be something with The Witcher 3, is they might have tapped out for either what they know now or in total. But I just feel like video game consoles as a whole are developing so quickly that people don't know like what they can do with them.
I wouldn't be surprised as well if CD Projekt Red is just kind of saying this just to impress people on the power of The Witcher 3.
It could be a PR thing, yeah.
And just be like, yeah, guys, this game is so graphically intense. It's so beautiful. There's so many in-depth mechanics and content to it that it's just tapping out these new systems. Like, we've already just bled through them because this thing is so awesome. And basically just a PR stunt.
So, in the spirit of that discussion, I need to bring up our final little bit of news here. In terms of tapping out power and my worries for hitting a roof like that. There's a rumor popping around that Nintendo's developing another next-gen system titled Nintendo Fusion. An anonymous source told a few outlets that they've had an absolutely disastrous year with the Wii U, losing $30 million and dropping thousands of ranks in Japan's version of The Economist. They went from 120 something to 2,000 and something in terms of how powerful they are. So with this new rumor, it also came a couple of spec options for the hardware, suggesting that the development is relatively far along. I don't know the first thing about specs, but the fact that this is already listed out there, either someone's put quite a bit of work into a fake, or yeah.
Nintendo is basically Nintendo's my favorite. I love them. But the thing is, I wouldn't put it past them to do something like this. Nintendo is all about innovation. Like, that's their big thing. With the Wii, they won motion control. With the Wii U, they won the touchpad. They want to put new things out there. They want to do new things. And with this, I could see them just trying to do something completely different and just really switch it up with the whole console thing. So even though I wouldn't like to just throw my money at them, I mean, I love throwing my money at them. I wouldn't want to do that every couple of years, but I would still buy the system.
Well, aren't you special, Travis? I don't know. I have no interest in a Wii U so far because of the lack of games that interest me, but maybe Nintendo Fusion is what we need. If they have the power to rectify a mistake made with the Wii U, or it could just be marketing, that was the mistake that they made, then I'm down. But
this could just put them deeper in the hole, though.
Yeah,
because if the
they
Fusion
could end up
turns
like
out
Sega
to be just as big of a flop as the Wii U, then I mean they're just that further in.
They could very easily end up like Sega and just become a software developer if they're not careful.
I just think the Wii U is they want to do all-in-one, where they want you to use their 3DS, their handheld part of the Wii U, and they're just wanting to do everything that I feel like as a gamer, like if you put PS4 and an Xbox One side by side, you notice that they're different names, but honestly the specs are kind of together. I think the Wii U is just going after a market that doesn't always go after video games and want to buy video games as much as regular gamers do.
All right, folks, so that has been Button Mash on WCRD. Lucas, tell them how they can find us.
You can find us on many, many places on the internets. There is Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, as well as Blogspot. Just go look for us at Button Mash BSU. Is that what it is for Blogspot as well?
Yep, buttonmashbsu.blogspot.com.
Yep, find us on all of them. We regularly post content. We will be posting more as we have more people joining our group.
We
such
are
as Brian and Travis
expanding.
here. Yeah.
Brian and Travis have joined. Let's see, Nick, Parker, and our new friend Eric joined us for our meeting today. And we are very excited to bring you new content and start Ball State's very own geek culture publication. Keep a lookout, and if you're interested, hit us up. We want you working for us. All right, guys. Have a good weekend, and live long and prosper.
Yeah. that'll
Whatever.
work.
Random geek reference.
It's
go.
nice.
It does fall pushing out through the thunder and rain.